What if the greatest time travel journey of all time wasn't to the past, but to the future? What if the glory of an empire became the memory of a museum, and the life of a hero, the spectacle of a new era? This is the story of a man whose faith was so profound that it led him through millennia, from a world of stone and faith to one of steel and algorithms. This is the world where Elias, the scribe of the Apostle John, awakens. Prepare for a tale where the strength of faith clashes with the violence of technology, and where the devotion of one man becomes the greatest challenge for a future that has forgotten what it means to be human. Revelation. The Book of Revelation. The words the angel of the Lord dictated to John my master on the island of Patmos. I, Elias, his humble scribe, transcribed every word, every symbol, every vision, feeling a tremor in my soul. The beast with 10 horns and 7 heads, the Great Babylon, the woman dressed in scarlet, the city of gold. My mind filled with visions of the future of the end times, and suddenly, like a leaf carried by the wind, I was snatched away. My flesh and bones trembled, and time became a mist. I did not know where, only that time and space, as we knew them, had come apart in the blink of a divine eye. I opened my eyes, and the light blinded me. It was not the light of the sun, but a cold, intense, and constant glow that came from all surfaces. I was in a glass chamber, and the air was silent and sterile. There was no smell of wet earth, baked bread, or incense. Far from the noise of Rome, the buzz of the plaza, and the echo of voices. In front of me, pale creatures, wearing white robes, watched me. Their expressionless eyes seemed to analyze me, not with the curiosity of men, but with the coldness of one who studies an inanimate object. The Bible, which I held so tightly that my knuckles ached, felt heavy in my hands, my only link to my faith and to the earth I knew. The brightness of their robes was so intense that it seemed to purify the air, but in their eyes, I saw not the light of God, but the empty brilliance of a knowledge that had replaced wisdom. I, the man who heard the divine word, was being studied by those who, in their arrogance, saw themselves as gods. Panic rose in my throat. I broke the chamber with a cry of fury and launched myself to freedom. Clinging to my Bible, the only anchor in the storm, I ran away. I left that cold chamber and found myself in a city that, in a terrifying way, resembled the Babylon described by John. Buildings of crystal and metal touched the clouds, their reflections distorting the sky. Flying cars like iron horses with fiery eyes passed me in a terrifying silence, without the sound of hooves. And the people. Oh, the people. They had bright lights on their bodies, machines that seemed to have fused with their very flesh. I saw faces with eyes that glowed with an artificial radiance, arms that extended with metal claws, and voices that sounded hollow and robotic. The city was a labyrinth of light and strange sounds, each sound an echo of a world I did not understand. And the images. Everywhere, images of God-men, ghostly lights that appeared and disappeared in the air, preaching a gospel of glory and power that did not come from the Lord. The Colosseum, which John and I had visited, was now a museum. But the Awoke spectacle had not ended. It had only transformed. What they called games were visions that appeared in large mirrors of light, where men of flesh and blood fought against creatures of metal and mechanical demons. The beast of Revelation was omnipresent, its name, Nova Pax, a peace that came with the loss of the soul and freedom. The inhabitants, slaves to their ephemeral desires and pleasures, lived in a cycle of consumerism, trading their souls for comfort and empty glory. The name of Nova Pax was everywhere, in every language, in every image. They had not only built a city, they had built a new religion, a faith based on data and technology. And it was in the midst of this modern Babylon that I found an angel. Or so I called her. Her name is Aria. She is like a ray of light in the midst of all this darkness. She found me hiding, trembling and afraid. She has no faith in the scriptures, but she has the light of humanity in her heart. She showed me that the creatures of metal are not demons, but men who have surrendered to flesh and iron to survive. She, with her knowledge of how the city works, taught me how to fight against the beast of Nova Pax. I remember the first time we spoke. I was under a metal bridge, the Bible clutched to my chest. "Are you all right?" she asked me. Her voice was not robotic, but full of life. "These are the visions," I murmured. "The Great Babylon." She looked at me with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Babylon? What are you talking about?" "The city, the iron demons, the beast," I said, pointing to a flying car. She looked at the car and then at me. "Oh, you're talking about drones?" she asked me. "No, they're demons," I insisted. "They fly, but they have no wings. They have eyes that glow, but they have no soul." She laughed a sad laugh. "They are just machines, Elias. Tools we built." She explained to me, with patience, that the metal creatures were machines, created by men. She showed me the implants that people had in their bodies, and told me that the glowing eyes were actually cameras, and the robotic voices were the voices of machines. I listened to her, but in my heart I knew the truth. These were John's visions, the lamb with 7 eyes and 7 horns. Man had become the beast itself, and he used technology to become his own god. Gradually, Arya helped me understand the new world. She showed me the digital underworld, the place where dissidents hide. She told me that the world is a big game, where people seek glory and power in a digital currency. The currency she showed me was a light that pulsed, an evil spirit. And the sign of the beast, the mark that everyone had on their hands, was a small chip. "It's for buying and selling," she explained. "It's the mark," I said, with a shiver down my spine. "The mark of the beast that no one can buy or sell without it." I became a prophet of a different kind. My weapon was not a sword, but the Bible in my hands. My arena was not the Colosseum, but the digital underworld. I prepared for battle, not with a warrior's training, but with the wisdom that Arya gave me. She taught me to use the machines, to hack the beast's systems, to infiltrate its databases and fight against it on its own territory. "You are our prophet," she told me. "You see what we cannot. You see the evil in all this technological goodness." Our mission was clear: to enter the city of gold of Nova Pax and sow the word of God in a time of despair. The great dragon that manifested in visions to John now manifested in the form of an artificial intelligence that controlled the city. Its voice was like that of an angel, promising security and prosperity, but its eyes, which manifested everywhere, were cold and empty. To me, this AI was the dragon with 7 heads, the beast that oppresses and controls man. Arya was my guide and protector. She, with her knowledge, showed me how to enter the walls of the city, and her courage protected me from the security demons. Together we prepared for the final mission. I remember the night before our mission. I prayed, asking God to give me strength to face the beast. Arya watched me, her curiosity mixed with admiration. "Do you really believe all this?" she asked me. "I don't know what to believe," I said, "but what I see makes me believe." And it was at that moment that she had understood. She no longer saw me as a naive anachronism, but as a man of faith who had something to teach me. And so we entered the city of gold. The streets were like rivers of light, cars flew over our heads, and the images of God-men watched us from all sides. But I was no longer afraid. I had a mission. John's vision was not just a warning, but a map, and I knew it. Our goal was not to destroy, but to spread the truth. I used the scriptures to decipher the beast's codes and the hackers of the digital underworld to insert the words of God into Nova Pax's systems. The beast was not defeated, but its lies were exposed, and the light of humanity began to shine again in the city. I, Elias, the humble scribe, became a hero of a new era. My journey was not just that of a man who fought against iron demons, but that of a man who found his faith in a world that had lost it, and who sowed it so that it could flourish again. If you want to follow Elias's epic journey and discover what the future holds for him, be sure to subscribe to Anachronia, Don't miss the next episode and all the other stories from our cinematic universe, where legends from the past are thrust into the future. Leave a comment below telling us what you thought of Elias's journey and which hero you would like to see in our next video. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new adventures.